I rented this entire track for one day to answer this very simple question, and that is, can you have fun in an EV on track? So today we're going to find that out with these two cars. We have the Mark 7.5 Golf GTI and we have the Tesla Model 3 Performance. But before we start, if you live in Northern Ireland and you have an interesting car that you'd like to see here on the channel and here on the track, please make sure to get in touch in the comments below. But first up, a drag race. So, 0 to 60 to 0. 3, 2, 1, go. Holy. Oh. Oh wow. 1, 2, 3, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 metres. And I know both these cars aren't exactly in the same price bracket, but even the £39,000 Tesla is the same performance as a base model GTI. And just to give you some perspective as to how far EVs have came in terms of performance. But you see, this is where the Model 3 has its strength, is depreciation, because you can actually buy a Model 3 Performance now for about 20 grand. And that overlaps in price with the Mark 7.5 GTI, where a low mileage example of that would be around 20 grand. So you can pick and choose between these cars. So first up, the Tesla. The first thing you're going to notice when you get into a Tesla is that the design language of the entire car is basically polar opposite to the likes of the GTI. Super minimalist, there's not very much going on. Everything's controlled by this huge big touchscreen, and the steering wheel is so small, compact and minimal. And from most angles, the Tesla is a really good looking car. Apart from the front. The front, it kind of looks a wee bit sort of... So steering in this car is actually really, really good. It handles super well. It's 4-wheel drive chassis, you know, it's built as a rear-wheel drive platform, which is really good for blasting around the track and having a bit of fun. One letdown about this car is the tyres. Those Pirelli P0s are absolutely shite because they overheat so quickly. And you know what, they're really expensive. 1,550 quid for 4 tyres from Tesla. The next time I'll definitely be going with the Michelins, which came on the previous generation Model 3 Performance. There's a couple of things about this car that I really, really like. First of all, the performance is insane. It is absolutely flying in comparison to the GTI, there's no doubt about it. But what you gain in performance, you lack in emotion. There's just no emotion to this car. It just doesn't feel alive. And car people will understand what I'm talking about. It just doesn't feel like it's it's hard to describe, really, really hard to describe. The main problem with this car on track is the weight. You cannot escape the weight. 1,840 kilos, and you can feel every single kilo of it. Comparison to the GTI, this thing weighs 400 kilos more. That's basically one of your more in the passenger seat. Now, another great feature about the Tesla is track mode. Track mode gives you all this nerdy, detaily information, tyre temperatures, brake temperatures, battery condition and temperature, motor temperature, G meter, and it allows you to set a start-finish lap time so you can time your laps, which I think is really, really cool. And what I really like about this is that you can change the bias to be more rear-wheel or front-wheel drive depending on your skill level. So can you have fun in this thing on track? Absolutely, you can have fun. Anyone tells you can't have fun on an EV is smoking absolute crack. This thing is a blast around the track, it really is. Handled super well, tyres are a wee bit sort of rubbish, to be quite honest. Brakes are fine. You know, if you're going to be hard driving this thing around a track for a full day, they're still not adequate. Carbon ceramics are the only way to go, but for a road car, this is more than capable. These seats, they are brilliant for travelling to and from the track because they're very comfortable. They do not hold you in place at all. I'm sliding about all over the place here. Another problem with the Tesla is, you know, you do get an 8-year, 120,000 mile warranty battery with this thing, but you know what? It's a big risk. See, if you buy one of these 4 years old and you've only 4 years of warranty on that battery, do you know a battery costs about 14 grand to replace? It's a big commitment and it's a big risk, isn't it? And just because something's better on paper doesn't mean it's actually better. In the 60s and 70s, the only wristwatch you could buy was a mechanical wristwatch, one that had cogs and levers and escapement valves and had to be lubricated and manufactured by a Swiss craftsperson. And Casio came along, they invented the quartz movement, which meant watches were cheap, they could be mass produced and they could be much thinner. So technically they're a much superior product, but Rolex don't make quartz watches. And I think that says it all. So next up, the GTI. So now that we're here in the GTI, the first thing you notice is that the design language of the inside of this car is literally a 180 from what it is in the Tesla. There's so much more intricate detail in this car. Steering wheel, absolute work of art. Look at this thing, it's absolutely stunning. Digital cockpit, also really, really good quality. Refresh rate's nice and high. Although, do you know what? In this type of car, an analog dash wouldn't be too bad either. And that's a good thing from a buyer's perspective because you can go for an earlier generation car. What I like about this one in particular is that it has the all-important 6-speed manual gearbox, as well as the 1,500 quid trick differential that came from factory. And do you know what? That combination is an epic one. DSG for me, it's just a bit like an automatic. What's the point? It's a bit like just driving an EV without the sound. Manual is the way to go. And what I like most about the GTI is that it has that ability to do everything. You can pull up to a bougie hotel and the concierge will open the door for you. Equally, you can take it to a track day and blast around all day and have fun. And you know what? Your girlfriend's dad is going to think that you're actually dead on and not an absolute psycho. Try doing that in a Golf 4, not a chance. And I think out of all the Volkswagen Golf products, the higher end GT type products, this is definitely the one to go for because it combines performance, economy, looks, and a little bit of sophistication about it as well, especially in this white. This white's awesome. A Golf GTD is for tight people, and a Golf 4 is for chavs, and a Golf GTE is for nerds because I used to own one. It just balances them all really, really well. To be quite honest with you, see, for the cost difference between this and an R, this is the better car. There's something about a petrol car and a manual gearbox on track that just works. It just works every time. This thing's awesome. I absolutely love it. You can probably see from the smile on my face. You don't get this in an EV.
And one of the biggest things that I prefer in the Golf over the Tesla is in the inside.
The seats in this car are so much better than the ones in the Tesla. They hug you in all the right places and they stop you from rolling about all over the place. Right, so let's give this thing a wee bit. Amit, close your eyes. Although he's behind me in my car, so I can't give it too much. So you can really feel that front differential working. You really, really can. And it's excellent. And listen. Petrol cars are so much more fun on track, you know that. Do you know the Tesla is kind of like trying to use a typewriter and a pair of boxing gloves? This thing is a precision device. This is a precision instrument, this thing. I think this car has a dual mass flywheel, which usually are a little bit more kind of spongy, but this one handles really well. I'm so impressed with how much this pulls out of corners. I really, really am. You can really feel the additional weight on the Tesla, there's no doubt about it. And whilst it's not just quite as fast, even though this is a front wheel drive chassis car, this is more fun. This is definitely more fun. This thing's awesome. Don't tell Amit I said that.
So after 80 miles of track driving, I pulled into the pits for some final thoughts.
What I would say is, in conclusion, if you want to go fast, go EV. But if you want to have fun, go manual.
And see, to be honest, I really think that the EV versus petrol debate is really, really pointless because they both have pros and they both have cons. And it's awesome that we have the choice to pick between both. And hey, if you're fortunate enough, the answer is both.
For me personally, given the choice of a 2025 Tesla Roadster that hasn't even come out yet, or a GT3, I'll leave you with this.